Hopefully there's some drama still with the Giants as we get down to the last game of the season and they go into the playoffs, because we could use that type of drama, because we haven't had any sort of real on-the-field win-loss drama with a football team around here, which seems like forever.
So, you know what, the interesting, watching the Patriots last night, they basically defensively only gave up 17 points. Yeah, they got ran through and all that other stuff. Jared Goff did very little. Their defense kept them in the game, and they had a chance a couple of times early in the game to score, and, just Cam Newton can't throw anymore. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and for people he can't throw, and that's a big problem, and they put in Stidham at the end of the game. He can't do anything either. I don't know why Cam can. He's got no weapons. I understand from wide receiver standpoint, even though, it's to me, it's all about this team with the Patriots can't win without spectacular stuff going on. Like, they need to have a punt return for a touchdown, a blocked field goal, a pick six, which you thought that they had last night, and then that gets called back, and then all of a sudden Cam throws a pick six of his own. So they can't do a damn thing. And L.A. goes right down the field in that first drive. I mean, chunks of yardage. 25-yard pass, 25-yard run, Cam Akers, the whole thing, Jared Goff over the top. And then after that, it was basically Bill Belichick made adjustments that he had to make, and then he held that team down for the rest of the game. But his offense can't do anything. I mean, they might be the most frustrating team to watch offensively when they're going like that in the league, and that includes the New York Jets in that conversation. I've seen worse games, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I've seen worse stretches of the Patriots offense this year than I've seen with the Jets. As bad as it gets
100%.
with the Patriots is the worst the NFL has to offer offensively.
They are very limited in their offense, and yet they still are in games. I mean, this game last night was just an indication. I just think the Rams are a really good team. I think the Rams are a top 5 team in the NFL, and at least they can throw the ball down the field if they have to.
Right.
And they obviously can run the ball effectively. And I think one of the things that caught maybe the Patriots off guard early in this game is the amount of 2 tight ends that the Rams use. When they played them in the Super Bowl, it was all 3 wide receivers. It was like the whole greatest show on turf thing. And Bill Belichick, much like he did to Mike Martz back in Super Bowl when they were with the Rams, basically shut that offense down and shut this offense down. And then obviously Sean McVay that's been sticking in his craw for about 22 months now.
Yeah, it was actually Erin Andrews asked a question I thought was a great question to Sean McVay in the pregame, which was taped, obviously. But she asked about basically giving Bill Belichick too much of a pat on the back in those.
He was smitten with the whole thing
in the conversations before the Super Bowl a couple years ago. And that really, it was brought up, but it wasn't brought up that much because it was an NFL Films thing. And before the game, Sean McVay is just, up and down, kissing every inch of Bill Belichick's ass. He's like, nobody does it better than you, man. Really, it's just an honor to be here, just to coach against you, Bill. I never thought I'd be in this situation, Bill, and you're the greatest to ever live. And just to be in your presence, man, is just something really cool for me. And whatever happens in the game, I can just say that I coached against you. It was really over the top.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was strange for a guy who had accomplished so much early on in his career. It's you can have respect for Belichick, but tell him that after the game. You're supposed to go and beat him. Right, what's going on?
It's true.
So Erin Andrews asked him about that, and he said it was much more was made out of it than he thought. It's not like he wasn't trying to win the game, and we understand that.
But his comments after the game, he said he was humbled. It was a very humbling experience.
Well, yeah.
And that he was out-coached. So he actually added to the story. And then, obviously, we now decipher all of it from the pregame to the postgame, and we say, he was just overwhelmed before the game even started.
Sure. Well, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, so last night they did a lot of 2 tight ends, and they ran the ball instead of throwing the ball. And, that it took Bill Belichick a while to figure out what they were doing. And when they finally figured it out, they only scored 17 points in the game offensively. They had an interception on a screen pass that ended up in the back of the end zone.
Sure.
Come on, man.
Did you see Aaron Donald sprinting down the field?
Yeah, well, he's ridiculous. He's ridiculous.
He didn't have the ball. He was just it's insane. And he's been in the league now for a number of years, so it's not like he's like a rookie. He's still running faster than anybody. 285 pounds. He could be one of the top 5 fastest people on the field.
Guy is very rarely hurt. So when I see a guy like that, that tells me that is kind of like the type of player that I want to draft. If I can draft a player like that physically, where he's not too big and he's lower to the ground, but he's built like a fire hydrant.
Sure.
And he's got legs, man, that can, he could probably still run a 4.7 40, I bet you.
Oh, I bet. I mean, he was doing it last night. If you just watch that play, I mean, he just takes off as soon as he sees the interception. He just takes off running down the field looking for somebody to block. But as I'm watching the Rams, the first drive, incredibly impressive. They end up getting the pick six as well on defense. But then, as you mentioned, I mean, everything slowed down for them offensively. It's another one of these teams in the NFC that gives you glimpses of being really good, but consistently they're not. And that's why I bring up every week as one of my overarching themes is this is as wide open as this conference has ever been, at least in the last 10 years.
I would tell you the four best teams in the NFC, and I don't put Seattle in there because I'm not sold on their the way that they're playing defense and everything, especially when they're playing against really good quarterbacks. But if I had to say the four best teams, it's going to be Green Bay, it's going to be New Orleans, it's going to be the Rams, and it's going to be the Bucs.
See, I don't put the Bucs in there like you do. I know. We have a fundamental disagreement on the Buccaneers. But, yeah, I don't know. I see. So you do put the Rams in there, or you don't? You do.
I do. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, Seattle and Tampa, I don't know.
I think Tampa's better than Seattle.
I mean, after last week, it's hard to say anything nice about Seattle.
Well, I mean, Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul give Tampa a pass-rushing duo. And they can play. Believe me, they got Lavonte David. They got a number of really good players on defense. And the second half against the Kansas City Chiefs showed you how good they could be defensively.
Yeah,
because they almost got ran out of the building in the first half, and then Shaq Barrett causes the fumble, turns that whole game around. And then finally, the defense of Tampa Bay woke up and started to play. And they did a hell of a job in the second half against Kansas City.
And one thing's for sure, there is not a defense in the NFC this year like the 49ers had in the NFC last year.
No, I don't think so. But the best defense, for my money, right now is New Orleans.
Okay. Yeah, you love New Orleans. You love New Orleans. You love the Bucs. I'm not so much. To me, I
love the Rams too, and I like Green Bay.
Yeah.
But I like Green Bay because of Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones, and that's an offensive team. Again, I don't know if their defense is good enough to get them back to to get them to the Super Bowl. Well, they may get them to the NFC Championship game, but I just don't know if they're good defensively enough to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know how we talked about how I'm going to take in strength versus strength now. I'm going to take the elite quarterback and the elite offense over the elite defense because I used to never really say that in the NFL because there's always defense wins championships, but what I saw from Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs against the 49ers last year. So now you give me any of these defenses, which really aren't elite in the NFC. There's some good ones, but there's not an elite defense in the NFC. If Aaron Rodgers is playing at that high level and him and Devontae Adams are healthy and doing what they're doing and they can run the ball with Aaron Jones, I'm going to take that Green Bay team.
You don't think that defensive performance last night by the Rams was a shutdown performance?
I mean, the Cam Newton, as much as I like the guy, and this Patriots offense, and I know the 45-0 the week before, but if you know what happened in that game, Cam, he had 69 yards passing.
Yeah, nothing.
I am not impressed by a defense that can shut down that New England offense. I'm not. Now, I know they got some great players. We just mentioned that one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league, and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey's there. I understand. Ibukam, as Jason Witten would say, like Samson Ibukam. So I get it. They've got players. But I've also seen them just be so unbelievably inconsistent on both sides of the ball.
Don't you feel like they're like, I know you say inconsistent. I look at it in a different way. I think from start to finish, they've been in every game that they've played. And they do have some of the best players at their respective positions, including Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald and Brockers. To me, I think they're a really balanced team. And obviously last night they showed you what you need to do late in the season, and that's run the ball and run it effectively against a good defense.
Yeah, I would say that the two teams, I'm just saying that I don't think they're a dominant team. I don't think it's one of those things where it's like a lock that the Rams or any team in the NFC, Green Bay, is getting to the Super Bowl. The point is that it's wide open. But if you're telling me to handicap the NFC and the two best teams, I would say Green Bay and the Rams are my two top teams in the conference. I know you like the Saints better. I'm not putting the Saints in there. To me, it's either going to be the odds-on favorite going into the playoffs should be either the Packers or the Rams. But it could be anybody. And it could be the Giants, quite frankly. Or it could be the Vikings if they get in. It could be anybody this year. That's why I really feel strongly about that. Whereas in the AFC, I think it's a handful of teams. Like, you want to throw the Bills in the mix. We'll see what they do against the Steelers.
I will say the Steelers, I think, are notched down now, and only because of injuries to their defense. Their defense lost significant playmakers, and it's shown itself. There's no question about it. And then, of course, if Ben keeps calling plays and changing plays at the line of scrimmage and throws the ball 50 times a game, they're not going to win. They're just not going to win. That's not who they are. They are a run-first. They've always been a run-first team. They've always been the more physical team. In the last couple of games against Baltimore and, of course, this last game that they just played against the Washington football team, I mean, I don't even recognize the team. Especially, you're going to ask these young receivers and this kid, Eric Ebron, he's like Evan Ingram, just drops balls left and right. I'm not going to – I just don't think they're the same team they were 5 weeks ago.
No, and we'll see what happens against the Bills on Sunday Night Football.
For both the Ravens and the Steelers this weekend, these are huge games. So the Ravens are at Cleveland on Monday night, and the Bills host Pittsburgh on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, these
are huge games for those two teams.
This is a bigger game for the Browns than any of –
Is it bigger for the Bills and the Browns than it is for the Steelers and the Ravens?
Yes, I do believe so.
Even though the Bills, they get a break by New England losing last night, so that helps their cause. You have New England, so you have Miami's also got Kansas City this week. If the Bills can win this weekend, essentially, I feel like they're going to wrap up the AFC East.
Yeah, I would agree with that. To me, it's about top of the conference, and if the Steelers can still somehow get that bye. And if they can't, then to me, this season, where at one point they were in 11-0, means nothing. Because they're going to need to get – I know some guys are out for the year, so it doesn't matter. But they're a team that I believe, especially with how everything got crammed for them, 3 games, 12 days. They haven't had a bye week since like week 3 when the whole thing happened with the Titans. They need a break more than anybody. They really do.
But I'll tell you that after this weekend, there's a very good chance that Kansas City could have the number 1 seed coming out of the weekend.
I think that they will. I think you're going to see 12-1 Kansas City, 11-2 Pittsburgh. That's what I think.
Right, which is the other big game this weekend is Indianapolis at Vegas.
Yep.
8-4 versus 7-5.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.